Hi, I'm Rachelle Jasmine. I'm going to be sugaring Grace's nostrils, her upper lip, and her eyebrows today. Just using sugar, no hot wax, and using the paste method or the ball method where you just use your hand and that's it. Also, we have a sugaring class coming up that I'm going to be teaching here in Lakewood, Colorado. It's going to be January 18th from 10 to 3. You get the basics of sugaring. You get support afterwards. You get a starter kit included. It's very cute. It comes with 2 sugars. And it's just sugar really Grace's nose.
Yeah.
So usually I'll just like dry it out. Make sure we like put powder in. And then I just start with a really small amount of sugar. Usually I'll use like a medium or a medium firm or even a firm. But just a very, very tiny amount, maybe even half of what's here is good. So I'll just like push some of this back on my finger so I don't use it all. And then when I'm doing it, I always hold the nose taut or like tight. And I always start on this spot right here so that we have like a starting area. That came out really good.
Oh, good.
And then with the nose, you start to get moisture right away because it is the nose. And you don't want to have any moisture because then it won't pull the hair out. It's just pulling the hair and that's more pain. So then I kind of go down. You have to mold the sugar in the nose right here, but you only want to go in slightly. Still holding taut. And then I'll rip this way. And then I'm going to do this inner corner or ledge right here with a very, very small amount. And I try to spread it thin. Doing this part can be really tricky though, because you want to hold the nose tight, but you have to be able to pull as well. So I try to like support it like this. Okay, are you feeling okay?
Yeah.
So I'll just dry the nose out on the inner part right here. Now, when you're doing up here, there's a lot of extra room, so you want to make sure you don't get the sugar too far back in there because then it's going to be really hard to get out. Just take a small amount and kind of shove it in there. Don't wait too long and pull. And just go one more time down here. And I feel like the skin on the nose is very, very thin, so you don't want to go over it too much. It looks good.
All right.
Okay, and we'll just do the same thing on this side. So just try it out. Go for the bottom part first. I do kind of put like a glob there. Support the nostril.
I can tell that you're using kind of a good, like force too.
Yeah. Because the skin is so like thin and I don't want to go over it very much, I really want to try to get it like on the first few times. And that's why I'll go back and dry so many times too.
Now, is there anything different with men's nostrils?
The only thing I think that is different is if they have a mustache. What I usually do is have them hold a stick or like a paper, anything right here to protect their mustache. Because it has happened before where I've ripped out some mustache hairs, and those hairs are so coarse and thick that
Oh, it hurt.
it really hurts.
Oh.
So that's the only thing I do differently. Do you do anything different?
Well, I noticed like men's nostrils are just really like much more hairy.
Yeah.
So I think that it just takes like that force was even like stronger. Like, you know, I definitely like when you're flicking it out, I definitely like feel like I'm really flicking hard to try to pull out those really thick hairs.
That's true. And something else that I do notice with men's nostril sugaring is that because their hair is so coarse and thick, a lot of times you'll get the blood dots from it.
Oh yeah.
But you can't freak out. You just wipe it off, put a little powder, and keep going. We just have a little bit more. So you'll be red probably for the next hour or so. Otherwise, you're ready.
All right.
Cool. So when I sugar a lip, I always start on the corners here because they're a little bit tougher to get out. And I do try to spread the sugar a little thin. And I'll go lay it down against the hair.
And just let me know if like you want me to move my lips around or...
Okay. And then just hold the skin taut. And I kind of work it in because I want to go over the skin as little as possible. Good. So then I always lay both corners down so that by the time we're finished with this corner, this sugar has had time to like kind of mold and melt down around the hairs. And then we just have to pull less, so that's good. And then we just do the same thing when we go across. And I always try to get right on the border here of the lip.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause sometimes those hairs are really hard to get out. And kind of forget about them.
That's one thing too, like with waxing you can't really go onto the lips, so it's really hard to get those hairs. But with sugaring you can a little bit, so
true, very true.
It is one benefit of sugaring.
So I'll just let that sit for a second, and because we just sugared your nostrils, I'm not going to go all the way up here because we already kind of did sugar it. But usually I would go all the way up to here, and even if there's a little bit of hair right coming out of the nostril, I'll like include that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just hold taut.
It just hardly hurts. Like, I just remember how waxing used to feel. And this just, like, hardly hurts at all.
And your skin looks great.
Wow.
So, and the hairs are coming out really good, too. So any hairs that I wasn't able to get out the first time, I just go around and instead of tweezing them, I will go around and, like, individually get them out. So I'll just lay it down so it can start to melt down around the hair. And then I kind of made this up. It's called the tweezer method. So you don't have to use tweezers. And then I just like work it in. And I'll always do this on the legs too because I hate tweezing legs. Just if you take like 5 seconds extra attention for that hair, then you don't have to go back and tweeze. And that's better for me because I do have a carpal tunnel and tweezing hurts my hand. So I had to come up with some other way to get all those little individual hairs out.
Good thinking. I know that I remember from watching Lori Nestor's waxing video that she like doesn't even have tweezers on her waxing stand. She just believes like you should just get as much out as you can with the wax. And then if there are any extra, you're supposed to just leave them. But with sugaring, you find that you really don't have to leave any hair.
No.
Because it can work just like a tweezer.
It can, and since it's a safe, natural, healthy exfoliation for your skin, it's okay to go over it, you know, more than once.
And it doesn't even hurt. Like the second time over, it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, that feels good.
And you don't look like you have any, but a lot of times I'll sugar right here, too. Maybe we'll just go over it. Okay.
All right.
You're ready.
Thank you, Rachelle. Okay. So today I'm having Rachelle Jasmine do my brows, demonstrate my brows. And I also wanted to just let people know, if they're interested, that she's going to be teaching some sugaring classes at our location in Lakewood, Colorado. Rachelle, what's the date on that?
It's going to be January 18th, and it'll be from 10 to 3.
And when you come, you're going to be learning like just the basics of sugaring. So even if you've never sugared before, this class is perfect for you. And if you have sugared a little bit before, but you just want to like increase your skills or learn a few new techniques, Rachelle has so much experience with sugaring, so she's really going to be able to teach a lot of things that even if you've sugared before, you could still learn a lot from her. So, Rachelle, did you want to say anything about the class?
Just that I'm really excited about it, and you know, if even like you said, even if you already are used to sugaring and you just want to learn something new, I mean, there's always something learn to new, some new technique that you don't know. And you know, when people come and they have sugared before, if they have ideas, I like to get them from them as well.
Oh, I was just thinking that the sugaring class actually includes a little sugar kit.
Oh, yes.
That you get to take home. So you will leave the class with 2 jars of sugar and some supplies, including like gloves and sticks and some things that are going to help you get started with your sugaring. And then the total for the class is $200, and that includes the kit. And it's you also get a certification, so we'll be giving you a certification before you leave the class.
And you don't just get the class. I'm available all the time. So if you're having trouble and you need more help, tips and tricks, I'm available to contact too, even after.
If you're watching this video and you're not able to make the class, I will just mention that we will be having more in the future on a regular basis. And also, Rachelle is available to come to your salon or to your location of business, and she can actually teach you or your staff. So if you're interested in that, just contact us and we will get that set up for sure. I know in the class, the first part of the class is more like large areas. So what she's doing now on the brows, it looks very, like if you're kind of like scared about sugaring, that this would be a very technical thing. So you do get to do some brows in the class, but it's going to be later in the day once you've already experienced a little bit of sugaring and you kind of got a feel for how to flick it off and how to work with it. I just love that that does not hurt.
Yes.
If you've ever had your eyebrows waxed before, you gotta try sugaring. It is so much less painful. So my brows are kind of weird right now because I was watching TV the other night, like, well, it was probably like 2 weeks ago, and I just started like pulling on my brow hair because I had some really long ones, and so that's why I don't know if you see some bald spots in there, but I was like pulling out my brow hair, and I like couldn't stop myself. I was just like, I was kind of like not paying attention to what I was doing, but I also was like, oh man, I know I need to just like go trim these hairs or like get them waxed. Instead, I was just pulling on them. There was one time that you did my brows before, and I had like this meeting with this lady, like she was like an advertiser lady, and she said like partway through the meeting, she's like, I cannot stop staring at your brows.
Oh.
They're so perfect. Who does them? You know, and then I told her about you.
I love doing brows. At first I was actually really, really intimidated by brows, but now that I've got it down, it's okay. And I think that it's really okay to take your time doing eyebrows too.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, I've made the mistake of not taking my time in the past, and a few brows have come out uneven, but you know, you learn from it. What's really good about the sugar and eyebrows is that if I did get sugar in the body of the brow that I don't want to take off, you can just take it off with water. So there is room for error just in case.
That's really nice for people if they're trying to do their own brows too.
Yeah. So I'm still working on this one, but I'm going to start laying it down on this side.
Okay.
So that it can start to melt down and around, especially because the hair is pretty coarse and thick.
Do you want me to tilt my head a little bit?
Yeah, just a little.
Okay.
With the brows, I can really get close and pretty precise to the shape I want. And knowing that even though the sugar is touching the body right here that I don't want to pull out, it's not going to pull it out because the sugar's not wrapped around the root. And then we'll tell you go back so we can finish this one. Okay, then I'll have you tilt your head this way again. So after I've let it sit on there, sometimes the sugar starts to separate from the skin, so I'll go back and work it in a little bit. And with with sugaring, the idea is to lay the sugar down against the hair and pull with the hair. But I found that with brows, it's a lot easier to get the hair out with the pulling against the hair, and you still don't get breakage.
So do you still apply against but then just pull against, or do you apply with and then pull against?
I'll apply against and pull against.
Okay.
Yeah. And really, at some point, I'll just do whatever I need to do to get the hair out.
Yeah.
And also another thing with brows is I always, if you noticed in the beginning, like I laid this part down first in the middle, and I just let it sit there for a while because that hair is pretty hard to get out. But if you let it sit for a few minutes, just like the corner of the lips or the side of the mouth, it comes out a lot easier.
And why is that?
Just so that the sugar has time to like kind of relax and melt down around the hair, so it has like a really good grip on it when you're doing your flick. Something I really like about sugaring the brows rather than waxing is that when you're putting on the soft wax, when you're pushing the paper down, you really have to be careful not to push it down in a way that that the wax will travel into the eyebrow, because then you're going to have a hole there.
Mm-hmm.
With the sugar wax, you don't really have to worry about that, because even when you're molding it, the sugar will go where you want it to go, and then you're not putting a strip down, most likely, to pull up. And even if you are going to use a strip to pull down, as I mentioned before, by the time you have the strip down on the sugar, that's not enough time for it to melt down and around the hair, so you know it's still not going to pull anything out from the body, and you still won't have any holes.
I do remember that from esthetician school, and I would use the strip wax. I would like almost take off someone's whole brow.
Yes.
Just because I wouldn't expect it to like squish in. And
It's a
like,
surprise.
Yeah.
So under here, I'll just go like sideways and then kind of take my thumb and push down so it's going against the hair. And really, if I'm doing something like we did today, brows, nostrils, and lip, I'll start with one ball of sugar for the brows, and then I would do the lip, and then I would do the nose with one tiny little thing of sugar like this.
Okay.
So
you wouldn't have to get any more sugar?
No.
You would just use...
Yeah, you just use the one tiny ball, and I mean, that's nothing compared to the jar that you get.